Hi folks, and welcome to Greg's Golf Shack. What is the most important shot in golf? That's debatable. It can change, wherever we are on the course, the state of our game, that kind of stuff. But I think it's our approach shot that is key to making more birdies and scoring low out on the course. Let's talk about it. Now folks, I hope you'll click that subscribe button. I'm a certified instructor with the Canadian Golf Teachers Federation, and I want to keep helping you play better golf. All right, so how can we dial in a comfortable approach shot? Now, a lot of people will get up on the tee, especially amateur golfers, and they'll just think they have to hit it as far as they can to get it as close to the green as possible. Now, this happens on par fours, especially par fives. The reality is, most of us don't reach par fives in two, and we usually have a third shot on the green. The question is, what kind of shot do you want to have into that green? If we're just getting it as close to the green as possible, we might end up in that uncomfortable zone, those 70-yard shots, those 40-yard shots. A lot of people struggle with those. Now, while your short game is very important to practice and it can help you save some pars or bogeys or something, it's our approach shot that gives us those birdie opportunities. That's our target shot in golf. We want to try and get it close to the pin. Our tee shots, we're aiming for a fairway. Our approach shot, we're kind of aiming at a flag, unless we're playing a different kind of shot or playing to a specific spot in the green to try and have, a desired result. But again, we're picking that small point, that small target to land the ball. And a good shot will avoid having to pitch and chip and three putt and all those kind of things. Instead, we might be left with a birdie putt. So like most aspects of golf, it's going to require practice, but it's going to be individual to you. You need to practice and find a distance that is comfortable for you that you can start applying out on the golf course. So for instance, I'm going to demonstrate 100-yard shots. I feel that's a good number for me to have an approach into the green, and I have multiple clubs and different strategies that I can apply to that 100-yard shot. For some of you, it might be 120 yards, 140 yards. The thing is, we want to find that number that gives us the confidence to land the ball onto the green and give ourselves a putt. So on something like a short par four, say 320 yards, we could try to drive the ball as far as we can and be left with that awkward pitch distance, or we could take a 3 hybrid or something like that off the tee to try to land it in our desired approach distance. Same thing with those par fives. Instead of trying to hit a driver as far as you can and a 3-wood as far as you can and be left with that awkward distance, if it's a 500-yard par 5, I might play a 200-yard shot, another 200-yard shot, and be left with my desired 100-yard number to get into the green. So let's look at the 100-yard shot. For me, that's my full sand wedge, and I don't want to always feel like that's the club I'm going to take at that distance. In fact, I'll go to the driving range and I'll find where the 100-yard mark is. Maybe there's a flag out there, and I'll hit a couple of sand wedges out there, but I'll also hit a gap wedge to that same point, a pitching wedge, a 9-iron. I'll try different clubs to try and hone in that distance. So why might we want to take different clubs and hit that same yardage? It's really the result, how the ball reacts once it hits the green. So even though I'm saying 100-yard shot, that is my carry target. That might not necessarily be the flag, it's where I want to land the ball. So if it was a sand wedge, for instance, because my sand wedge, a full swing, will usually do sort of a 1 hop and a stop. It'll have a little bit of a spin. So, I might try to carry it to the flag distance with my sand wedge. For something like my gap wedge, I might take a 3/4 swing and I might land it 100 yards to be able to roll it out to a 105-yard pin. Or my pitching wedge, land it 100 yards to be able to roll it out to 110 yards. And then something like my 9-iron, I might try to get another 15 or 20 yards of roll out of this. So it's all about where I'd like to land the ball so the rollout and the result ends up near a pin that I'm comfortable with. So why do these clubs produce these different results? Well, it comes down to the loft. The higher the ball flies in the air, gravity takes over. That means the ball is going to come down steeper into the green and it's going to have less forward momentum. So it's not going to roll and bounce as much depending on how high the loft is on the club. The lower the loft, the lower the ball flight and the lower the trajectory it comes into the green, and it's going to have a little bit more bounce and roll, even if you hit it soft. Let's have a look at some of these results. Now, this is a golf course that I designed on TGC 2019 for the SkyTrack system, and I've left myself with 98 yards, so approximately 100 yards. And I'm going to start by taking a full swing sand wedge because that's my 100-yard club. And I'm expecting that to kind of come around the flag, maybe stop, maybe spin a little bit, and hopefully end up near that pin. Let's have a look. So there's an expected result for my sand wedge. So let's see what happens if I take a gap wedge to try and play 100 yards. Now, I'm not necessarily trying to have the ball end up near the pin in this example. I'm using this as a carry marker. So this is where I want to fly the ball to see what the result is. So hitting my gap wedge, I'm going to have a 3/4 swing, a little lighter than my sand wedge, to see if I can land it around that 98, 100-yard mark and see if it rolls out. So here we go, 3/4 swing, decent ball flight there. Landed it around that mark and we got a few extra yards of rollout. So now let me try and carry my pitching wedge around that 100-yard marker, have it land somewhere around where that flag is, and I should get even a little bit more rollout. Now for my pitching wedge, it's going to be just a half swing. Now in my mind, I'm feeling like my arms are just kind of getting parallel to the ground for this half swing. It might end up a little bit more. It's all the energy I'm kind of putting behind the ball that is sort of a half swing. My pitching wedge normally goes about 125, 130 yards. So I'm expecting a 100-yard carry with my pitching wedge half swing. Let's have a look. All right, landing it around that carry distance, and here we are getting a little bit more rollout. Similar to the gap wedge, a little bit more. Now why stop there? Maybe I want to keep the ball down below the tree line because there's wind up there and I'd like to roll it back to a back pin. I'm going to try a 9-iron and start getting a little bit chippy, feeling less like a full swing. It's kind of a half swing, but I'm feeling like I'm chipping the ball a little bit more. My stance will become a little bit more narrow and I'm going to try to fly this ball around 100 yards to see what the result will be. So here we go, a 9-iron, nice strike. We fly it to that, around that pin area, and we can see we're getting a fair bit more rollout here because of that lower trajectory. So I'm not going to end up going all the way down the line and using 5-irons and things for this, but I might use an 8-iron. That's a very popular chipping club, and even though I'm 100 yards away, I'm feeling like this is a hard chip, somewhere between a chip and a pitch and a swing, just a light little smack at that ball to see if I can land it around 100 yards to see if we get that little bit of extra rollout. Here's our 8-iron, another decent kind of chippy swing. We land it, 100-yard marker, and there we go. It's rolling out similar to the 9-iron. Actually, a little bit more roll. It's taking the break of the green there, but we can see the final result there. So this is a great thing to practice because when you're on the range, it just gives you a whole toolbox of shots to work with anywhere on the course, but especially for your approach shots to give you a better chance to get close to that pin and sink a birdie putt. So I recommend that you practice that. Practice some full swings, practice some 3/4 swings, some half swings with different clubs to try and find that comfortable distance for you, that comfortable, repeatable distance for you to be able to make solid approaches. I hope this tip helps you. Please like and subscribe. We'll see you next time on Greg's Golf Shack.